you know, they're spanking me on the butt.
So I'm here with Austin Butler for his new film, Elvis, and this is my first time. Austin, are you ready?
I am.
So, first question. What was the first job you had?
The first time I was ever paid was doing I did an episode of Hannah Montana. I've never had a real job, so I was about 12 years old or something.
And what was the first book you read?
Harry Potter, actually. I remember at a certain point being a kid and feeling exhilarated and then crying and then feeling inspired and all these things. And at a certain point I realized I'm just looking at symbols on a page and it's making me see images and feel things, and that's really remarkable.
And what was the first record you bought?
I remember buying the Beatles' White Album very young, because my dad listened to a lot of classic rock and stuff, and they did a remaster of that, and I think that's the first time I ever actually went out and bought a record.
And who was your first hero?
Probably my mom. She was my hero for sure, yeah. She made my life so fun. She let me do wild things. She told this story once of me. I think I was 7 years old, and she said I was filling up the planter in the backyard with water, and then she saw me come inside, and I put on a suit. And I walked outside, I'm walking along this planter, and then I just jumped in. And I was playing James Bond in my mind. She was just so accepting of all those wild things that I would do as a kid.
What was it like the first time meeting Tom Hanks?
It was really warm. It was, he's been my hero for as long as I can remember. He was so warm to me. He gave me this huge hug. And then he just opened up about his vulnerabilities and his excitements and everything. And then we just bonded on all that, and we were able to then really create this fun collaboration together.
And what was it like the first time you were in your full Elvis costume?
It was magical.
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
It's amazing when you look in the mirror and then you're seeing this person that you're embodying look back at you, and it's really cool.
And do you remember the first time you heard an Elvis song?
I don't remember the first time. It felt like it was a part of my family. There was like a couple things that were a couple musical artists that were in the house, and one was the Grease soundtrack because my sister loved that. And another was Elvis, because my grandmother loved Elvis, and she was in high school in '56 when he just became famous. So Blue Suede Shoes and Heartbreak Hotel and the '50s music, it was one of those songs that would have been the first thing I heard.
And what was the first film you remember seeing?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I have this memory of laying on the couch with my dad, and my dad used to keep chocolate chips by the not chips as in British chips, but like, you know, the little, like they look like tiny little Hershey's Kisses. And he used to eat those while watching movies. And I just remember my dad eating chocolate chips and laying there and hearing the Sergio Leone film. And The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that was the first film I really remember seeing.
And when was the first time you remember wanting to be an actor?
I didn't know that it was a profession, really. I didn't know that I could do it. But looking back, all those times, like what I was just describing, I was playing pretend as a kid, and that was my way of having some sort of outlet. That was how I had fun. And then I was about 12 years old and just stumbled into doing extra work. And suddenly I was on set and I saw how films were made. Being around that environment, I suddenly felt like I found my tribe. So it was around that time.
And do you remember the first time you were starstruck?
I remember being very starstruck by DayLewis. He got me. Yeah, I could hardly get a word out. It was wild to feel that kind of reverence where you can hardly even speak. Yeah. I was at it was a screening. It was like this kind of intimate screening for Lincoln when he did that film. He came in and he's so tall and he's got such a presence. It was amazing.
And the first party you ever went to?
I think it was probably around the time I was doing extra work when I was 12, 13. I was on this show called Ned's Declassified, and so I was just part of the background, and then the actors in the show were so kind to me, and they welcomed me into their group, and And at Devin, who played Ned, at his house, those are the first parties that I remember having, where it was, because I was so shy, I didn't want to hang out with other kids when I was younger, and so that was the first time I remember like wanting to be around other kids and stuff.
Do you remember the first time you were scared?
Yeah, probably the day I was born, coming out and it was so cold, you know, and they spanked me on the butt. No, I don't know. I remember watching a movie called Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte with Betty Davis, and it terrified me. There's a moment where, I think this is the film, there's a moment where a head rolls down the stairs. I was scared for years after watching that movie.
How was it answering your first times?
It was great. You were so lovely, and we had a lot of fun.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much, Austin.
Thank you. Nice to see you.